People being crucified.
Hey, it's the Christian Landon Regali coming at you from the pharmacy, the sanctuary of my sweet cousin and her gorgeous home and sanctuary here in North Carolina. At the time of this recording, it is Monday, March 11th, 2024. So, what's shaking, what's baking with everybody today? What's happening going down the line your way? Seriously. So, yep. Yeah, it's like that, isn't it? How's the Ides of March treating you? Hopefully, if you're upright and ethical, you'll be getting the gains that'll be careening and crashing on the waves of your shore to deliver everything that went awry and haywire when you had no hand in the debauchery or the treachery going on in the world, big and bad, in this Auschwitz 2.0 of Zetserzung. So, it's like this. Let's talk about perfect will of God, or the perfect will of the universe, the perfect will of the Most High, the perfect will of whatever deity that you pray to. Because with everything in the ebb and flow of sometimes the shit comes to us without us doing anything, because there is the perfect will of all the assholes in the world, right? Of all the evil pieces of shit who care not for altruism other than for the grub down of the almighty dollar that they've lost their soul and empathy to. Because a good margin, a good rule of thumb to gauge your own margin and how far removed you are. I mean, if you ain't got no soul, how can you tell? That's a real good question. How can you tell? Well, if you can be indoctrinated and indoctrinate others into being Team Judas and not give two shits about the person that you're railing over, that is a reflection of lack of empathy. Empathy means that you have compassion for somebody, that you care about the hardships that somebody else may be enduring. Like whenever we see the Ethiopian commercials back in the day where you have the emaciation of this particular culture, did you feel empathy or did you think that was funny? Because if you think the hardships of somebody else that you created, psychological battery, psychological assault, with the hate crimes, with going to your flying flunky monkey classes and letting the thieving murderers tell you how to feel, letting the thieving murderers pretend that you're going to become a fucking actress out in the world when really they're just tooling your fool ass to being psycho. Tooling your fool ass to be psycho. Tooling your fool ass to be psycho. They're not going to make you a goddamn actress. They're lying to you, bitch. And then they're just going to tool you into being a goddamn prostitute without your clothes because they've already gotten you to put down your guard and feel good about tooling yourself as goddamn Team Psycho Judas that you don't care. So if you think it's funny, that means you have a lack of compassion. If you think it's funny and what something is going on to somebody, and that means you have no empathy. And if you have no empathy, that's because you ain't got no more soul left. And if you don't have a soul, you need to question who's pulling the strings on your little puppet bobblehead. 10 to 1, it's a goddamn demonic attachment. So, I mean, it's like this. If you're really comfortable with not giving two shits about running psyop on somebody, that means you don't have empathy. And if you don't have empathy, you don't have compassion. And if you don't have compassion, God knows you ain't got no goddamn integrity. And then, if you don't have any of those, that means your vessel is soulless. 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 That should concern you. And if you ain't got no soul, that's because you have a goddamn demonic attachment, sweetie. A demonic attachment. And if you are a teen, an adolescent, just because mom and dad is teaching you how to feel good about being a deceitful goddamn government grubbing gold digger, you need to wake up and take control of your vessel. And realize that it doesn't matter if the president himself came down and said, hey, I'm going to teach you how to be an actress, and we're going to learn together how to sideswipe somebody to get them to commit suicide. It's still wrong. So at the end of the day, you are responsible for your choices and your actions. So if you ain't got no soul, that means you are being demonically infested with being tooled to create chaos and havoc in the world. So this is where I bring in the perfect will of God. Because while we may not know on the surface, while we may not understand what's going on beneath the surface, the veneer of what somebody comes to you and presents, this is your saving grace. Because while we are called to forgive, remember, forgiveness is for you to release yourself from any harboring, anger, resentment, being sore. It means, I'm not going to attach myself with any energetic toxicity to anything. I'm going to let that go. And I'm not going to harbor free will. And so that is an evolution. But here's the deal. Just because you forgive does not mean you have to absolve somebody from their karma. And in fact, you're not supposed to absolve anybody from their karma. Because if karma never was an equation within the context of negative reinforcement, it's like if a kid put his hand on the stove and that never had a sensation of pain, he'd just rot his hand off. And the context of if somebody was never given the consequences of their actions, they'd just be a gluttonous Babylon tool and throw their own soul into the volcanic ashes of the lowest vibratory frequency throughout the world while being an infestation to the rest of the populace at large and destroying their hope in humanity. So it's very important that karma remain intact so you can forgive with full endorsement of love and the support of karma. So when somebody says, pray for me, like me, I'll be all like, oh, yes, of course I'll pray for you. What, are you crazy? Now, here's the deal with regards to that. I would highly suggest you consider starting any prayer that you pray over somebody with praying the perfect will of God, of the universe. You don't even have to believe in God. Because if you're an atheist, you do call out for something, I would imagine. And, it can be the universe, that's fine. But whatever deity that you beseech, if it's Buddha, if it's Allah, pray the perfect will of that deity first and foremost. Because the perfect will is going to know what to do and intercede. Because if you were to, say, abide and harbor a fugitive into your home, the law would come in and put the smackdown on you because, honey, we put this motherfucker in jail. They are a serial murdering, a serial child molesting rapist. And then you turn around and give them sanctuary. You gotta go because we need them to pay off their debt to society. So, but by the same token, if you were to say, okay, I forgive you and absolve you from your karma, that's energy. That is in the ledger of being a debt. It has to go somewhere. So if you pick up that karma, if you pick up that forgiveness and say absolve them from karma, you get to endure that karma. That karma will go somewhere. So unless you want to pick up the debts for the wages of sin, you need to preface every prayer that you help pray over somebody with the perfect will of God first. I pray the perfect will of God for you to find salvation in the prosperity of coming into an alignment with divinity. Because again, if somebody comes into an alignment of divinity, they will be held accountable to the point to where they open up their eyes and the snake skin sloughs off and the scales from their eyes are shed. Then everybody wins. One person at a time, one prayer at a time. But don't let your prayers become a tool to absolve somebody from their karma. That's counterintuitive to the ethers, to the spiritual court, to the 5D. So may I suggest to everybody to intercede if one asks with the perfect will of God be served. Because you don't know what's in the heart of man. There are many a psychotic actor pretending to be something they're not. Because if you really were an actress, training to be an actress, you wouldn't need to come at anybody sideways with deceit. Especially when you're so 3D see-through. What does it mean? What does it mean? I'm like, oh my God. I can see you're sucking the passive fire of Satan himself. I'm not going to tell you what it means. Although what it means is that you stepped into it and you bought into becoming a tool for big bread, let alone the idiot guardian that's supposed to be guarding you from all of the havoc in the world. Bitch, they're making money off of you by grooming you to be the goddamn parasite, which goes on. So the next step is to get to groom you in the sex rings of America and all of this child molesting, enabling with all of the serial unaliving that's going on in the world that covers every bias in the cesspool of human trafficking, child molestation. There are judges that participate in it. There are doctors that participate in medical malpractice just to get their grub down. It's an endemic infestation. I mean, all of your targeting business, all of your gang stalking, which is group stalking, which are hate crimes, which are fucking felonies that are directed by your little handler in your sex ring over there. In the sex ring over there. It's a sex ring, bitches. They're grooming everybody to separate themselves from whatever deity they think they serve. Half the mission is tooling the goddamn flying flunky monkeys to become distraught with depression, to become distraught with a sense of loss of self. So that's why it's important for everybody to hold on to their integrity at every temptation. And if you already hold out to your integrity, get back right with yourself. And ghost those fool-ass bastards. But when it comes to the populace at large, who are very much integrity-filled, that is altruistic, be smart about your prayers and always preface everything with, I importune the perfect will of the Most High, because I don't know what this person really did or didn't. But if you always have the accountability that you're not God and you don't know it, this lovely soul in front of you is really a miscreant, golden grubber, goddamn gold digger who has already partaken in big bread by getting their palms greased through the act of deceit by becoming Team Judas, you absolve yourself, from picking up that shitbag's fucking karma. So be smart about your prayers. And again, for everybody that's come after me, for everybody that's come sideways at another targeted individual, if you think you're sorry, first of all, when it comes to me, I already give you my fucking full forgiveness. I don't even think twice about what the shit that you've done to me, because I'm too busy living my life now, having a good time, focusing on my future, falling in love with my future, because I have so many wonderful hobbies to keep me satiated, to keep me satisfied, that my sense of pride doesn't come from empowering somebody from the fucking side, by coming over sideways at somebody. That's not where I feel powerful. I'm not that kind of piece of shit, evil scumbag. I feel myself with my hobbies and how I became a better person than I was yesterday, and how I excelled at something where I didn't have as much working skill set in it before. So you just need a hobby, honey. And learn how to come at yourself with the self-mastery of what you did that was better than yesterday for yourself. But I don't have to forgive anybody face to face because you already have it. But I'm not going to endure your karma for you. I mean, because if anybody who's really, truly contrite, truly in remorse, truly in repentance of what they did, tell the truth. Tell the truth. That's the only way you're going to shake up your wheel of fortune. That is the only way you're going to shake up your current path. Because at this point, you have to just suck it up, Buttercup. Deal with your karma. And still choose to walk the light of upright ethics, which at its very base is telling the truth. Making your videos of your confessions and posting it to YouTube. And furthermore, you can't, that little part alone is not going to absolve you. You need to make signed and written notarized statements and affidavits of what your part in the Zetserzung was, what your part in the collusion of all this Auschwitz 2.0 was, and who you colluded and collaborated with. Then you're going to have to mail that registered mail so you have a paper trail to the appropriate authorities, and then you're going to have to talk to the appropriate authorities and turn yourself in. At the very base, because you can either level up yourself or get leveled out by karma, and it's going to sideswipe your ass so hard that when you're sodomized, you're not even going to see it coming. And by the time you come to, your carcass is going to be a carcass already divvied up for the goddamn organ trafficking table, of which you've already scheduled countless deaths to. I mean, how could you not see you ending up on that? That is just what they would call delusions of grandeur. And so by the time you come to, it's because you're going to get an ass kicking in the ethers with the first thing that you realize when you have crossed over and got no body to go back to anymore. My ancestors are going to be sodomizing you with the goddamn bat and laugh at you. And have a good time gang banging you up in the ethers. So, don't ever think I'm going to be any saving grace for you. I was your punching bag. You laughed at me. You laughed at the other targets. You all had good game running your fucking sick delusions of grandeur by being the soulless, apathetic piece of evil shit that you guys have decided to just hold on tight with. And you guys are so filled with demonic infestation, you haven't even recognized the loss of your soul because you haven't even taken stock to do any shadow work to see what the lack of empathy means for you, what the lack of compassion means for you, and what the lack of empathy means when you teach it to the kid you're supposed to be guardian over, when you're supposed to be teaching the kid moral aptitude to the ones that you birthed to. So don't think any one of you are going to get away with being a foul, evil, demonic, soulless trilobite. So, again, you have your perfect will, and I will respect all of your fool-ass choices because that's what you have as being an independent soul. So if you decide to follow the lemmings and do as the lemmings does in the goddamn rutting and being pigs of Babylon with all of your whitewashed tombs and fucking lipstick all over the face of Petunia, at the end of the day, you still are soulless, gutless, filled with demonic infestation. You should fix that. But don't think that anybody is going to want to pick up your karmic ticket. So I importune the rest of the world to always preface praying over somebody with the perfect will of God. Because you want to do what karma needs to come in and serve that person with. So I will always help pray over somebody. But I will always serve the will of the Most High first in every prayer I have my hand over on someone. Because I'm not picking up your fool-ass karma. I've worked way too diligently for the karma I have. I've worked way too diligently for being one of the many generational curse breakers in my bloodline. I'm not picking up your fool-ass karma. That's for you to do. That's for you to suck it up, buttercup, and take control over your karma. And let your karma working off the debt begin with you telling the truth. And if you don't tell the truth, bitch, go ahead, spin your wheels, bring your tires right in place and go nowhere while expending all of the energy because you didn't care about any of the sucker fools of the targeting of the individual with all of the group stalking, of all of the gang stalking, with all of the hate crimes and all those fucking felonies all over the fucking floor that you guys have done laughing and squatting and teabag on somebody else's lives by orchestrating their hardships, by orchestrating their challenges. I mean, you didn't think anybody would want to pick up your karmic ticket for that, did you? If you did, you're really deluded with such delusions of grandeur that you don't even know if you're coming or going. Start with the truth, honey. And if you can't do that, well, you're just lying, gluttonous, piece of shit, scumbag, evil-doing trilobite. Parasites. We don't need parasites anymore in the 3D world. We need you to level up. And if you don't want to level up, you'll just be leveled out. So who needs you then? But I always welcome everybody to see the error of their ways. Hit reset, get right with yourselves. Do what you're supposed to do to be of service to the light. Get right with yourselves and should tell the truth. Because if none of you tell the truth and want absolution, it's never going to happen, hon. Because as it is, there's not going to be absolution from many of your injustices. You will sustain the perfect will of karma. There's no way out of it. But you can turn the wheel of your own future, turn the wheel of your own fortune by turning yourself and letting your walk begin with just being completely transparent with telling the truth. And if you can't do that, well, that's your own deal. You work it out for yourselves. The rest of us are just going to have a fun time with our karma because we have stood diligently even when the chips were down around us and all of your fool asses were gang stalking us with all of your hate crimes and all your psyop. And we had to suck it up, buttercup, for shit we didn't even earn. So, good luck to you.